In a world cloaked in darkness, where the dead rest and nightmares awaken, if you dare to listen, you're about to step into the shadows of midnight screams. Not everyone who enters makes it out alive.
Nestled on the outskirts of town, surrounded by a dense forest that seemed to swallow sunlight whole, stood the imposing Mercy Hill Hospital. Once a beacon of healing for the community, its towering facade now loomed like a sentinel of forgotten horrors. The hospital's history was marred by whispers of unethical experiments, mysterious disappearances, and the restless spirits of those who never found peace within its walls. For decades, Mercy Hill had stood abandoned, its corridors echoing with the remnants of suffering and despair. Urban legends painted it as a place where darkness thrived, where the veil between the living and the dead grew thin. But on one fateful night, a group of skeptics and believers alike would venture into its decaying halls, unaware of the malevolent force that awaited them. It was a crisp autumn evening when Emma, a fearless journalist with a penchant for uncovering the truth, gathered her team at the edge of Mercy Hill's overgrown grounds. The air was thick with a tangible unease as they approached the hospital's weathered entrance. Cameras and recording equipment in hand, they were determined to document the untold stories that lay hidden within its labyrinthine corridors. As they crossed the threshold into Mercy Hill's foreboding interior, the temperature seemed to drop several degrees, sending shivers down their spines despite the warm autumn evening outside. The hospital's corridors stretched out like a labyrinth before them, each turn revealing more decay and neglect. Dust motes danced in the beams of their flashlights, casting eerie shadows that seemed to move on their own. Emma, undeterred by the palpable sense of unease, forged ahead with determination etched on her face. Her team followed closely, their footsteps muffled by the worn linoleum floors that groaned under their weight. The air was stale, heavy with the scent of mildew and old memories that refused to fade. They passed by rooms that once housed patients, now reduced to bare, graffiti-covered walls and broken furniture. Every now and then, a distant sound echoed through the corridors, a soft whisper, a faint sigh, as if the hospital itself was trying to communicate its secrets to the intruders. As they ventured deeper, the oppressive silence was occasionally punctuated by the groaning of metal doors swaying on rusty hinges, as if something unseen was moving through the hospital ahead of them. Emma's nerves were on edge, yet her journalistic instinct drove her forward, seeking answers that had eluded so many before. The atmosphere grew more suffocating with each step, the darkness seeming to press in around them. Shadows played tricks on their minds, flickering just at the edge of their vision, disappearing when they turned to look directly. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind swept through the corridor, blowing out their flashlights in a simultaneous, eerie fashion. They stood frozen in the darkness, heartbeats pounding loudly in their ears, as the hospital seemed to hold its breath in anticipation of their next move. Emma took a deep breath, reigniting her determination despite the unsettling turn of events. With trembling hands, they fumbled for spare batteries and managed to restore the light, casting a flickering glow that revealed the hallway ahead, stretching into darkness. Little did they know, the true horrors of Mercy Hill were yet to reveal themselves, lurking in the shadows of its forgotten corridors, waiting to be. The hospital's interior was a maze of forgotten rooms and crumbling infrastructure. Flickering lights cast unsettling shadows on the walls, giving life to the tales of paranormal encounters whispered among locals. Emma's team encountered strange phenomena, cold spots that chilled them to the bone, flickering apparitions that vanished as quickly as they appeared, and disembodied voices that pleaded for release. As Emma's team navigated deeper into Mercy Hill's labyrinthine corridors, the oppressive atmosphere intensified. The flickering lights played tricks on their senses, casting elongated shadows that seemed to move independently, as if the walls themselves held secrets waiting to be revealed. They encountered their first anomaly in Ward 7B, a section long abandoned to decay. As they stepped through the threshold, a bone-chilling cold enveloped them, despite the temperature being relatively mild outside. Breath misted in front of their faces as they explored, their footsteps echoing eerily against the tiled floors. In Ward 7B, they witnessed flickering apparitions, translucent figures that appeared and disappeared in the blink of an eye. leaving behind a lingering chill that raised the hairs on their necks. These spectral manifestations seemed to be reliving moments of anguish, their faint cries echoing through the empty halls. Moving deeper into the heart of the hospital, they stumbled upon the administrative offices, where old patient records lay strewn across dusty desks. These documents, yellowed with age, provided chilling insights into Mercy Hill's dark past. They uncovered accounts of experimental treatments conducted in the name of medical advancement, methods that bordered on torture, leaving patients scarred both physically and mentally. Among the records were testimonies of former staff driven to madness by the atrocities they witnessed or were compelled to participate in. Some entries spoke of voices heard in the dead of night, whispering secrets that drove those who listened to the brink of insanity. Despite the mounting terror and resistance from the hospital itself, doors slamming shut inexplicably, lights flickering more violently as they approached forbidden areas, Emma and her team pressed on. Each new revelation fueled their determination to expose the truth, no matter the cost. Their journey through Mercy Hill became a race against time and the malevolent forces that seemed intent on keeping its secrets buried. But as they uncovered more pieces of the puzzle, they also unwittingly drew closer to confronting the entity that held sway over the hospital's supernatural manifestations. Little did they realize, the darkest revelations awaited them in the deepest, most secluded corners of Mercy Hill, where the veil between the living and the dead was thinnest, and where the true horror of the hospital's legacy awaited its final reckoning. As night draped its cloak over Mercy Hill Hospital, the atmosphere shifted from eerie to outright sinister. The building seemed to awaken with a life of its own, responding to the presence of Emma and her team with malevolent intent. Doors that had been steadfastly ajar slammed shut with startling force, trapping them momentarily in narrow passageways that grew tighter with each passing minute. Footsteps echoed in the empty corridors, their origin impossible to discern, echoing unnaturally long after the sound had ceased. Emma, undeterred by the escalating paranormal activity, led her team deeper into the hospital's heart, determined to confront whatever unseen force lay in wait. Each step forward seemed to thicken the air with a sense of foreboding, their flashlights casting long, jagged shadows that danced ominously on the walls. It was during a particularly tense moment in the abandoned psychiatric ward that they first encountered Sarah, a spectral figure, her form flickering like a dying candle in the gloom. Sarah's presence was palpable, a mix of sorrow and anger that permeated the very essence of the place. Her ethereal voice echoed hauntingly as she recounted her tragic tale. Dedicated nurse who had unwittingly stumbled upon the hospital's darkest secrets. Sarah had discovered clandestine experiments conducted under the guise of medical research, experiments that pushed the boundaries of ethics and humanity. Horrified by what she had witnessed, she had attempted to expose the truth, only to be silenced by those who would protect the hospital's reputation at any cost. Betrayed and left to suffer a fate worse than death, Sarah's spirit remained bound to Mercy Hill, unable to find rest until justice was served. Emma and her team, moved by Sarah's plight and fueled by their own quest for truth, pledged to help her find peace. They delved deeper into the hospital's archives, uncovering more evidence of the atrocities committed within its walls. Patient records spoke of cruel treatments and unethical practices, each revelation solidifying their resolve to expose the hospital's dark history to the world. As they pieced together the fragments of Mercy Hill's sordid past, the malevolent presence intensified, manifesting in more tangible and terrifying ways. Apparitions appeared more frequently, their forms twisting and contorting in agony as if reliving their final moments. Cold spots became more pronounced, chilling them to the bone even through layers of protective clothing. With Sarah's guidance, they navigated through hidden passages and forgotten rooms, each step bringing them closer to the heart of the hospital's darkness. They uncovered secret chambers where unspeakable rituals had been conducted, and artifacts that hinted at a power beyond comprehension lurking just beneath the surface. But as they edged closer to the truth, the hospital fought back with a ferocity that threatened to consume them all. Emma and her team found themselves trapped in a nightmarish game of cat and mouse, pursued by forces they could neither see nor fully comprehend. walls themselves seemed to close in around them, twisting and shifting as yet through sheer determination and solidarity, they pressed on, their quest for justice becoming a battle for survival against an enemy as ancient as it was malevolent. Sarah's presence grew stronger with each passing moment, her spectral form guiding them through the labyrinthine corridors with an otherworldly knowledge of the hospital's secrets. In a final showdown, Emma and her team confronted the entity that held Mercy Hill in its thrall, a swirling vortex of darkness and despair that threatened to consume them whole. With Sarah's help, they unleashed a torrent of suppressed emotions and revelations, forcing the entity to confront the horrors it had perpetuated. As the hospital's foundation shook with the intensity of their confrontation, Emma and her team made a desperate bid for escape, their bodies and spirits battered but unbroken. They emerged from Mercy Hill's crumbling facade, the first rays of dawn breaking through the clouds above. The hospital, now a crumbling monument to its own malevolence, stood silent and still behind them. Sarah's spirit, finally released from its eternal torment, faded into the morning mist, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness that had shrouded Mercy Hill for so long. Emma's documentation of their harrowing journey captivated audiences worldwide, sparking a renewed interest in the paranormal and ethical implications of medical research. Mercy Hill became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and the enduring power of the human spirit in the face of adversity. And as for Emma and her team, their lives were forever changed by their encounter with Mercy Hill. They carried with them the scars of their ordeal, a testament to the strength and resilience that had guided them through the darkest of nights. In the depths of Mercy Hill Hospital, Emma and her team stumbled upon a hidden wing that defied all reason and morality. The air grew thick with a palpable malevolence as they entered, the walls seemingly pulsating with a dark energy that sent shivers down their spines. The corridors were lined with rusted cages and arcane symbols etched into the decaying plaster, evidence of the unspeakable experiments that had transpired within. As they ventured deeper, the temperature plummeted, and an unnatural silence settled over them. It was here, amidst the remnants of forgotten horrors, that they encountered the true embodiment of Mercy Hill's malevolence, a spectral entity that materialized from the shadows, its form a twisted amalgamation of agony and despair. The entity's eyes glowed with an otherworldly hatred as it confronted Emma and her team, its presence filling the air with a suffocating dread. Wisps of ethereal energy coiled around them, threatening to ensnare their very souls as they stood their ground against the ancient evil that had plagued the hospital for generations. With Sarah's spectral guidance, Emma pieced together the fragmented pieces of Mercy Hill's dark history. They unearthed documents detailing inhumane experiments conducted in the name of scientific progress, where patients were subjected to torturous treatments in a quest for forbidden knowledge. The record spoke of cover-ups and conspiracies that extended beyond the hospital's walls, implicating influential figures whose greed and ambition had paved the way for such atrocities. As the truth unraveled, the spectral entity's grip on Mercy Hill began to weaken. The hospital itself seemed to rebel against its malevolent influence, the walls groaning and buckling under the weight of years of suffering and deceit. Ghostly apparitions, long trapped within the hospital's confines, stirred restlessly, their cries for justice echoing through the corridors. In a climactic battle of wills, Emma and her team confronted the entity head-on, wielding the knowledge they had uncovered like a weapon against the darkness. With each revelation, the entity's form flickered and waned, its power diminishing in the face of the truth that had eluded it for so long. And then, as if in a final act of defiance, Mercy Hill began to collapse around them. The spectral inhabitants, liberated from their torment, dissipated into the ether, their anguished wails fading into silence. The hospital, once a fortress of suffering and secrets, crumbled into ruins, its dark legacy buried beneath tons of crumbling debris. Emma and her team emerged from the wreckage, battered but triumphant. The dawn broke over Mercy Hill, casting its light on the remnants of a nightmare that had finally come to an end. Sarah's spirit, freed from its eternal vigil, shimmered briefly in the morning sunlight, before ascending peacefully into the heavens. The story of Mercy Hill Hospital would forever be etched into their memories, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of truth in the face of darkness. Emma's documentation of their harrowing journey would serve as a cautionary tale, reminding others of the dangers of unchecked ambition and the consequences of burying the past. As they walked away from the ruins, Emma and her team knew that their lives had been irrevocably changed by their encounter with Mercy Hill. They carried with them the scars of their ordeal, but also a newfound sense of purpose, to ensure that the horrors of Mercy Hill would never be forgotten, and that justice would prevail for those whose voices had been silenced for far too long. As dawn broke over Mercy Hill Hospital, Emma and her team emerged, physically and emotionally exhausted by their ordeal. The once imposing facade now lay in ruins, a testament to the darkness that had consumed it. Yet, amidst the rubble, there was a sense of closure, vindication for those who had suffered within its walls, and a reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition. In the days that followed, Mercy Hill became a cautionary tale, its story shared among thrill-seekers and historians alike. Emma's documentation of their journey captivated audiences, sparking debates about ethics in medical research and the consequences of hubris. And as for Mercy Hill itself, it remained a place of shadows and whispers, a reminder that some secrets are best left buried. Mercy Hill Hospital's legacy endured, not as a monument to healing, but as a haunting reminder of the darkness that lurks within human hearts. Emma and her team had dared to confront the horrors of the past, but the echoes of Mercy Hill would forever linger in their memories, a testament to the enduring power of fear and the resilience of the human spirit.